Hello and welcome to the viewers of this video. This is the Orange Fan here, bringing you another entry for the episode Recap and Thoughts category. This video will be dedicated to the B segment of episode 25 of The Loud House, One Flew Over the Loud House. We begin this segment on Saturday morning at 10 a.m. That's when Lincoln wakes up. And he notices that it's unusually quiet for a Saturday morning, and he points out that by 10 a.m. some of his family members should be awake by now, so that makes the quietness all the more unusual and unsettling. So when Lincoln goes to check out what's up, he notices that the hallway looks like something out of a horror movie, we'll say. And then he quickly finds out that half of his sisters are sick. They have that sickly green look to them, and they're acting like zombies too. Luckily for Lincoln, he's brought into a safe room before he can catch this sickness. And we find out that the healthy sisters, or the sisters that haven't gotten sick yet, are Lenny, Luna, Luann, Lucy, and Lisa. Although a running gag throughout the segment are the other family members not being able to tell if Lucy is sick or not. In any case, Lisa explains to Lincoln, and by extension the audience, that the sickness started with Lori having the flu. We don't find out exactly how Lori caught the flu, but she was the first of the family members to catch it somehow, and as Lincoln points out to the audience, the sickness with a lot of family members would spread like the plague. Luckily, though, Lincoln did have a plan for this sort of situation. With his walkie-talkie, he contacts Clyde to explain that he and his healthy sisters are hoping to go to his house for sanctuary until this passes over, and Clyde's more than willing to help out. He's even preparing some meals to help out the sick family members. But before they can even begin their journey to the McBride house, they find out that Luann ended up catching the flu, or somehow. Like, she eventually sneezes and then she turns into the sick zombie, so they push her out into the hall where the other sick zombies are. And Lisa has prepared some squirt guns with chicken noodle soup in them to help fend them off. All of the remaining healthy siblings, except for Lenny, take a squirt bottle or a squirt gun. And throughout the course of the segment, we actually see Lincoln and Lenny butting heads with each other. Lenny wants to stay behind and take care of the sick family members, while Lincoln is trying to keep them from getting sick as well by getting to Clyde's house. So during the attempt to escape from the house, Luna ends up getting sick as well. And for a while, it looks like Lucy was caught by the sick zombies too, but she ends up coming in to save them at an unexpected time. We also find out that the pets have been infected as well, and the parents aren't safe as well. And as this is all going on, it eventually gets to a point where Lucy does eventually get sick, but we can't see a difference between her healthy self and her sick self. Lisa ends up getting sick, so that leaves Lincoln and Lenny as the only ones left. And, well, they find out that they can still get out through the doggy door that Charles would use in the back door by the kitchen. But Lenny insists that Lincoln go on without her. She intends to stay and take care of them, assuring Lincoln that she'll take the necessary precautions to keep herself from getting sick, by wearing a mask, for example. But Lenny kind of prioritizes how the mask looks over practicality, and she takes too long that another sick a sick cough is heading in her direction, and Lincoln ends up taking the bullet for her, so to speak, but he accidentally sneezes on her, so all of the Loud family members are now sick zombies. So the segment ends with Clyde coming over, and he's wearing a hazmat suit to protect himself so he doesn't get sick. And he's the one who breaks the fourth wall and talks to the audience at the end. And true enough, he did provide some meals to help the sick family members regain their health. And that's where the segment ends. Now, I mentioned it before with the siblings segment, the A segment. Both segments of episode 25 for the Loud House have a very Halloween-esque feel to them, but neither one of them actually takes place on Halloween. Like I said before, it's not until season 2 when we get an actual Halloween episode. But these two segments, the collective episode overall, kind of were the Halloween episode without actually being the actual Halloween episode. And yeah, I thought it was a pretty cool touch how these two segments actually shared a common theme between each other despite being separate stories otherwise. And this one, was a parody of a zombie apocalypse sort of movie, and it also deals with the understandable situation about not wanting to catch an illness. And that's actually what we're going to talk about with regards to the conflict between Lincoln and Lenny. Lincoln wanting them to get out of there so they wouldn't get sick, while Lenny wanted to take care of the sick. And for me, it was a case of both sides have a point. That is to say, both Lincoln and Lenny had valid points. I mean, Lenny had a valid point about taking care of the sick people because they were still their family members despite being sick. On the other hand, though, Lincoln had a valid point about not wanting to get sick either, because you're not going to help anyone out if you end up getting sick too, and causing the sickness to spread is certainly a bad thing as well. I mean, Lenny had the right idea about taking precautions so she wouldn't get sick, but yeah, she kind of prioritized about how the mask looked rather than actually how practical it was, and it did end up leading to her getting sick, which kind of again shows Lincoln's point was valid about them getting out of there so they wouldn't get sick. And then Clyde at the end helped to reaffirm Lenny's point, though, about taking care of the sick, but in Clyde's case, he took the necessary precautions to protect himself. Yeah, the hazmat suit might have been over the top, but it got the point across. Like, if you're going to take care of sick people, make sure that you take the right steps so you yourself don't end up getting sick and it doesn't spread like the plague, as Lincoln had mentioned earlier. So that was what I liked about this segment. I thought it was a good example of showing a conflict, but both sides having a valid point about it, and not really painting one as the bad point or the other as the good point, but recognizing the merits of both. And yeah, it was a fun parody of a zombie apocalypse. Although I imagine that some people might get a little squeamish because of the whole sickness thing, so fair warning, it might not be for those who are a little uncomfortable with sick-related circumstances, or like those sick visuals. I probably wouldn't advise that for anyone if you're squeamish about those kind of things. It was sort of I'd feel bad for someone if they didn't like those gross up close-ups. But for me personally, like I said, I actually liked both segments for episode 25. I don't think I had a favorite between the two, and I thought they were good Halloween-like episode. They both made a good Halloween-like episode without actually taking place on Halloween. A nice prelude before the actual Halloween episode. And with that covered, we've now discussed both segments of episode 25 on this channel. Take care, and until next time.